Hello and welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. My name is Jill Maurer and I'm an accessories designer, and I talk a lot about design on this channel, but also what I talk about a lot is freedom, and it's freedom to choose what you want to choose. And today I want to talk about rock stars. One comment I got was a question asking me, how do I become the rock star of my own life? And I just think that that is a great goal, is becoming the rock star of your own life. When you look at rock stars, when we think about rock stars, they have a lot of freedom and they take it, they grab it and they go with it. They really do what they want to do as far as fashion goes. And so I wanted to take a look at some of the videos from when I was growing up, some of the music videos from the 80s, and just show you, sort of get my reaction to them and show you how they were breaking rules and how they felt back then versus now. Because a lot of times we look at design from our own time frame. And what I'm looking at, even though it's the same thing, looked different to me in the 80s than it does now. And it's kind of interesting. So let's take a look at a few examples and see if we can learn how to become rock stars in our own lives. So let's start with one of my favorites, Aerosmith. And this is quite literally called Dude Looks Like a Lady. I mean, he's just going right after it. He got a lot of flack for looking like a lady, and he hit it head on. And he basically said, yeah, I do, deal with it. So here he is. I mean, he's got all the rings. He's got scarves around his microphone. He's wearing a silk robe that was either made from him or he might have gotten from the women's section. He's got his long hair. I mean, it's even sort of in a bouffant, and he's prancing around and he's loving it. And he's talking about how he looks like a lady. and he's okay with it. He works for me. I can tell you that for sure. And if he wanted to borrow my robe in the morning, I would be okay with that. Oh, look, he even plays with the breast pads and everything. I mean, he really takes it on. You know, it's a lot harder to make fun of somebody who is totally accepting of themselves and who just says, you think so? Let's play with that for a little bit. He's really a great example. Now let's look at Culture Club. And this is interesting. So this is Boy George. And I can remember watching this video when I was in high school, arguing with my friend over whether Boy George was male or female. You know, it sounds funny now, but this was totally new. And I was saying, it's a guy. I mean, his name is Boy George. I mean, he thought you might be confused, so he gave you all the clues you needed. And she kept going, that's a girl, that's a girl. She had never seen a girl in this much makeup. And it wasn't just that, but it's the way he's moving in a very feminine way. And, you know, later, of course, we all learn that Boy George is a boy, but he's playing with masculine and feminine. And really has the freedom to do it. Now he is pushing the limits here. The other thing that I will say is I've heard people say that he was very risque and over the top. When you look at him now, you realize that his outfits are actually very conservative as far as how much skin they're showing. I've never found anything of him wearing heels, and he really doesn't show any more skin than just his ankles. What is over the top for him is his long hair and really, frankly, his makeup, and then just the way that he moves and dances. So he's doing an excellent job here of being the rock star in his own life, just taking a look and making it his own and working with it. He's making a statement. And really expressing that he has freedom and everybody else does. And you can see like the man's reaction, the woman faints and falls into the pool because, oh my goodness, there's a man with makeup. That's so shocking. You know, it's, uh-oh, everybody's kind of into it. He's the rock star in his own life and everybody's loving it. You know, so now some people think that it's a little bit radical that there are men on YouTube that are doing makeup tutorials. Well, you know, if he could have done it in his day, I would have watched Boy George. He was certainly better at makeup than I've ever been. I mean, look at that. Man can do a wing liner, right? So now let's look at Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody, because not everybody was overtly feminine in the way that Aerosmith was actually saying dude looks like a lady, and where Boy George was really taking that makeup all the way to the feminine extreme. So here's Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm going to skip forward a little bit so that we can start seeing. So here he is, and this song This again is a rock group. Now there's a wing liner. That's a serious wing liner. And this song itself is very feminine. Of course, they have the long hair, which my parents would have seen as feminine to start with. But in the 80s, every band had big hair. But he's got a look, he's got a style, and he is very much playing with the feminine and masculine. The big bracelet. So this isn't quite as, and even look at the lip gloss, this isn't quite as far to an extreme. And sometimes we can just take the extremes and look at those and figure out how far do we want to take it on the spectrum. So he's taken what we now call guy liner all the way to a wingtip, but when you see these people doing this, if you want to just frame your eyes in eyeliner, it's really not that big of a deal. Now, no video on 80s men, rock stars dressing the way they want to dress where it comes to masculine and feminine would be complete without a discussion of Prince. This is Prince, You Got the Look. And here we see quintessential Prince in a fur coat or a marabou coat, might be feathers, lots of necklaces, earrings, bouffant hair, lots of makeup, women falling all over him. That's how it can work. So, and you'll see that she is actually in an outfit very similar to things that he has worn right there. That's very similar to his Purple Rain kind of standard suit when he wears a suit. So as is typical of 80s videos, a lot of beautiful, beautiful people singing and dressed up. Oh, maybe it's not an earring. What is that? No, it's an earring. She's thinking, I want that coat. He's thinking we can trade outfits later. I'm busy with this coat right now. So it's not even just the men who get to wear what they want. Let's look at some of the women in the 80s who are breaking rules too. Here we have one of my favorites, Annie Lennox. Now, of course, she's wearing a full face of makeup, which you could say is feminine, but she's in a very masculine suit. In fact, I would say that is a man's suit. It's a man's tie, or what was probably at the time. This was, I'm sure, made for her. But if you were going to go buy that, you would have, at this time, for sure, had to have gone to the men's department, and probably still today. Her haircut is masculine, her attitude is masculine, and it all works. The only other woman that I can think of that comes to mind immediately who had this short of hair was Sinead O'Connor at the time. This was very unusual to see a woman really this masculine in a video, and she really made it work for her. Now, she would also do videos where she was wearing a dress and even had on a wig and looking very feminine. So she played with her masculine and feminine sides. Look at that old computer. That was so fancy and modern at the time. I also want to take a look at Joan Jett. And this is a very masculine gait that she's got going on. To today's eye, this may not look very masculine, but this at the time was considered very masculine. First of all, for a woman to be doing this kind of rock and roll was masculine. She's walking like a man. She's sort of got a masculine attitude. She's being the aggressor in a sexual relationship. This was kind of out there for then. Flexing her biceps. Basically saying I'm a badass and I'll beat up your boyfriend if you need me to. And by the way, Joan Jett looks this good today. She looks awesome today if you've seen pictures of her. So it's kind of interesting that we have given rock stars and musicians in general the freedom to do what they want. That's been true throughout history. And I'm not, it would be interesting to really think about why is that? What is it about music? Because it's not just the stage. The stage, a lot of times, people are in character, and so we've let them wear whatever they want because they're being somebody else. But a lot of times, sometimes a rock star has a persona, and they'll say that they're being somebody else, but we really see it as them being themselves, and we give them the freedom to do it. And wouldn't it be a wonderful world if everybody got to be the rock star of their own life, that we all had the freedom to wear what we wanted to wear, even if that looked odd or masculine or feminine or whatever to somebody else, where we go, whoa, okay, that's different. But you know what? They have the freedom to do it. That's where I would love to see us all be. I hope you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane and taking a look at how some of these rock stars were able to wear what they wanted to wear. Who did I miss? Who was really killing it back in the day? Either who just was whoever they were, which maybe looked a little more feminine or masculine than some people were comfortable with, or who had fun with it and were really playing with it and mocking it like Aerosmith did so well. Let me know in the comments below, and I do hope you'll subscribe and hit that bell because I would really love to see you again. Bye for now.